And we are live, I guess. Anyway, what were we saying? Yeah, you did Louis' stream last night. I've been kind of, pinging him a bit, like, yeah, when are you going to join?
Yeah, I
Paul
watched
joining us too.
Jazzbone Mike. He put up a video on Riverside
Mm-hmm.
King. It's nice to see you, Paul.
Yeah, likewise.
We've been chatting for quite a bit on the Discord.
Do you guys know each other?
Through the Discord.
Okay. Alrighty. Yeah. So who's in Detroit? Are you both like in the city of Detroit?
No.
I will clarify when we're on the air that
Oh, we're rolling. We're rolling.
So I'm in Grosse Pointe, right? So I am a suburb, but basically a block from a block away. So
alrighty. Okay. And Jeffrey,
I'm an hour outside the city.
Okay.
So I used to live downstate. So most people live in southeastern Michigan, but I moved to Lansing, Michigan, over 20 years ago.
Okay. Are you at the university there? Isn't that where Michigan State is?
Lansing? It is, yes, in East Lansing. My daughter attends Michigan State.
Okay. So it's a campus town, university town?
East Lansing is. Lansing is where the state capital is. And it's a car city, just like a lot of cities in Michigan. A lot of manufacturing.
I'm totally showing my ignorance here of Michigan. And this is kind of why I invited you guys tonight and chatting a bit on the Discord too, is because I'm heading down there. I haven't been down to Detroit since probably I was like 21 years old. In fact, I was just looking at the last time I was there was 1990 when the Detroit Pistons won. Do you remember that night at all?
Oh, Bad Boys. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because that was some bad shit went down that night, right? And I think that was the first and only time I've been to Detroit. So, but I've got
city was a little rougher in those days. It's not quite that like that.
I was not around back then, but yeah, everybody talks about how much different it is now.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. So, Paul, how long have you been in that neighborhood then?
Not super long. So I've been here 9 months. So, so I've explored a lot. Really love it here. But I'm certainly not a native and or anything like that.
Yeah. Cool. Well, what do you want to do? You want to get into it? There's one thing I wanted to ask you guys about before maybe we talk about the record stores. Let me share, and hopefully you have some insight for me here. Let me share the map. I don't know if you've seen any of my other videos. I know some people like Wikipedia, some people like their go-to websites or Wikipedia, or their go-to websites or Discogs, but I kind of organize everything on Google Maps. Is this looking like somewhere that maybe you've visited before, up in this neck of the woods?
I have not.
I've never been out there.
Oh, you haven't, huh? Yeah, it's a good half an hour, I think, outside of town, right?
Yeah, that looks like Milford, sort of.
Let me kind of pull it up. The reason why is like, look at that. Holy shit. There's some.
I've heard of that place.
Mm-hmm.
So you have heard of it, yeah? No, and I checked out the Google reviews, and they look really good. You know, they're saying the guy runs it super nice, and
he sells on Facebook Marketplace.
Oh, he does, huh? But it's I don't know how old these photos are, but there's some pretty cool stuff in here. Look at the kind of wall of Marantz there.
Yeah, probably goes around the country snatching them up.
Yeah, it kind of looks like it. So yeah, so you haven't been out, huh?
No. I typically just hit the record shops.
Yeah, I'm just thinking because I'm staying for a couple days, and if you're there for couple days, you can, like when you're coming from Canada, you have a limit, right? A limit on how much money you can spend or how many goods you can bring back, right? So if you're in the States for 24 hours, then you can bring $200, and I think it's probably 200 Canadian dollars, right? So like about 150 US dollars. So not a lot, right? If you go record shopping, you could easily blow through that pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But if I stay for 48 hours, and you need to, like, literally you need to go over 48 hours, and you can bring back $800. So I thought, oh shit, maybe I'll pop out here and see if there's,
So
something
let me
decent.
take a look at this real quick. Yeah, that's not going to be too far. That's not too far out of the city. That's northwest suburb.
Yeah, it didn't look so bad, right? And I'm there for a couple of days, so I might, or maybe I'll give him a call and say, kind of, what have you got in? Is it worth my while coming out? Maybe try to say that in a nice way. But
well, there's a good record store over there, a couple.
Yeah. Do you want to, Jeffrey? Do you want to go with your top choice? Kind of, you're in town for one day kind of thing. Where would you send people? Yeah.
It's People's Records.
People's.
In downtown. Yeah.
Yeah. Hands down.
Yeah. Or one of you guys posting the other day, or maybe it was Valley that was posting about a recent purchase that they were making, or a stop that they made down there.
Yeah, we turned Valley onto the shop. He just moved to Detroit. He's got a summer gig down there. He's a college student at MSU.
Yeah.
I think it's like 6 blocks from me, I think.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of here we go. So kind of walk me through the scene there. Then why is this a number one pick?
It's does nothing but vintage vinyl. They sell no new records. There's no CDs. It's just used records, and they get collections in weekly, and they put it out to move it.
Okay.
My favorite part about it is the pricing. Of course, everyone likes a good deal, and they definitely they want to sell records. They're not interested in having wall records, just sitting up on the wall as trophies.
Overpriced. Yeah.
So they'll definitely want to sell you records. They have to put out so many records. It's fun to dig, but it's also a shop that you got to dig through a lot. But what they do is they have a very active new arrivals bin that you have to check. And like, if I lived down there like Paul, I'd be in there every day. Paul, you can attest to it. Their new arrival bin's nuts. The stuff you can find
because it just moves. You mean?
Yeah. And there's always, it's not only a lot of stuff, but it's good stuff and it's interesting stuff that you don't see everywhere.
Right.
It could be rock, jazz, whatever, soul, but it's also like, I found African records there. I found kind of European pressings of ethnographic records, avant-garde classical. You name it, you can find it in there depending on the day.
Yeah.
Is it one of those kind of mixed new arrivals? They just put everything in there and you need to kind of flip through everything?
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Although there's a bit of a system to it though. So there's the main new arrivals bin, so things kind of go in there, and then once things that have sat there for a couple of days move into genre-based new arrivals that are scattered throughout the store.
Okay.
So you have to check a couple of places if you haven't been in there before or in a while.
And then they cherry pick the collections, and they have bins up by the register that they put the really good records in.
Like behind the register, you need to ask?
No, they're out in front. So like when you pay for your record, I found them because I had a stack of records I was going to pay for. And it was like one of my first times in there. And then I looked and I was like, there's jazz here and there's punk here. And I started looking, I'm like, oh, these are the good records. And so what I do is I go new arrivals.
After you spend like an hour there and it's like, oh shit.
Yeah. So I go new arrivals. So when you walk in, you go to the left. So you'll walk in, there's a huge, I believe it's all Motown funk. When you first walk in the store, there's a huge bunch of bins. and then you go right, and at the end you'll see it. It's like maybe 6 bins wide is the new arrivals. I hit that first, then I go right up front, and I hit the bins in the front, and then I go to whatever genre I'm digging for. Right now it's always jazz because that's what I'm collecting.
Yeah.
And they see a lot of jazz records.
Yeah. And you can find good stuff in all the spots in the store too, right? The new arrivals that I think that the bins right in front of the register are like $20 and up. That mostly that kind of price range. Wall records behind the register, of course.
Yep.
But then there's a back room to the left of the register that has an entire jazz section, which is kind of more under $20, but you can find really good stuff in there.
And there's a lot. I mean, what do you think, Paul? 20 feet long? I mean, it's a big run of bins.
Yeah.
So you need to reserve an hour plus to.
I'm usually 2-3 hours to go through the store. I'll be honest.
Really?
But I don't go down a lot, so I'm typically down.
Oh, that's right, because you're coming in from.
I have to plan a trip usually when I go down, and I was if we get to the point where we'll show some records, I'll show some of the stuff that I found in various stores, because I do 2 routes in Detroit. I do one where I stay on the west side, and then I do one where I go into the city. And so it just all depends on what I want to do. Because I have to plan to go down because I live, an hour and 15 minutes.
Sure. And the west side, you mean like Dearborn over there?
No, more like Ann Arbor, Plymouth, Inkster.
Oh, okay. So further out.
Yeah, Dearborn I usually hit because when I go into downtown. And then I like to
when do you go in then? You go on the weekends or you take some time?
Usually I like to go in on like a Thursday or a Wednesday or a Thursday.
Okay.
The weekends is pretty nuts down there because People's is right across from what's called the Eastern Market.
I was checking that out. Is that kind of a newer?
No, it's kind of a
hipster. Oh, it's been there for a while. There's like breweries and stuff there.
Well, it kind of changes, but it's always been a gathering place in the city. So in the summer, that's where the farmers market is. Right across from People's is basically a gigantic meat market with probably a dozen vendors in there. And a lot of them have been there forever.
Yeah, and then on the other side of that, there are these 3 gigantic sheds where it's an actual market. For Saturdays it's farmers market, Sundays it's artists market. And then there's a whole neighborhood around that also called the Eastern Market that has breweries and distilleries and vintage shops and all those sorts of things.
It's worth dropping by then on the weekend.
Yes. And then Midtown, when you're done with People's, you go up to you actually about 3 miles away. I go to my next stop, which is the Record Graveyard, Hamtramck.
Record Graveyard. Here, let's pull up the map again, actually, so we can hang on one second.
And Paul's got some shops he's found I haven't been to yet. So we've been kind of exchanging shops.
Oh, yeah. Because I can't remember who. Paul, I think, was it Paul? Did you text me? You can see all the ones that I've kind of green lit here. Third Man Records over here. But I think it was further north in the city.
Yeah, a little bit further north.
Yeah, they're not showing up. Sometimes with Google they work well, and other times like fuck, you can't see what you've tagged. Anyway, but there's a tour. There's Jeffrey's got a tour that he does.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so Third Man is in Midtown, so right underneath where your cursor is.
Yeah,
that's kind of a cool place to go. I mean, I don't know that, and if you want, it's for shopping wise. If you want to buy Third Man releases or things that were pressed there, that's a great place to go. But it's not; they don't really have anything other than that. But it's still kind of a cool experience to go into there. Yeah, they have you can.
Well,
they have a glass window where you can see into the pressing plant. On Fridays, they have tours. You have to book in advance, but they have tours of the plant itself. They actually have shows there. I saw Letitia Sadier from Stereolab play there, which is pretty cool. So
Yeah, it's an old renovated kind of brick building, isn't it? It's quite striking when you look at pictures
Yeah, it's
online.
an old factory.
Old factory, yeah.
It's right next door to Shinola. If you're into them at all, they're kind of Detroit watches. They do watches and leather goods.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. So Paul, what's your go-to store then?
Well,
after
People's
maybe after People's. Yeah.
After People's, I would say probably Record Graveyard.
Record Graveyard. Let me see. Graveyard. All right. Well, walk us through that. What's the scene there?
All right. So it's in a house. So there's this area called Hamtramck. There are actually 3 record stores there that I think are worth going to. But Record Graveyard is the best one for jazz, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. So you go there. It's in this old house in a the kind of more the neighborhood part of Hamtramck. Those pictures kind of capture it. So it's just rows and rows of bins. I think it's particularly good for jazz. I found lots of good stuff there. I think that for kind of free and spiritual stuff, I think it's particularly good. I mean, the prices aren't. I think unlike People's, where you get really great prices, Record Graveyard, the prices are fair, but you're not going to get screaming deals there for the most part. But you'll see things there that you're not going to see. I've never seen in the wild anywhere else.
Yeah.
I think for jazz, it's great. They've got a good soul and R&B section. The rock section, I don't think it's that great, but I'm more in terms of rock, I'm more into indie than classic rock. So it's not really my thing there. But for jazz, it's really good.
So what's the culture down there in terms of buying in stores? Like typically in Toronto, I would say in Toronto it's a bit mixed. There are some stores you go into and the price is the price, right? There are other stores you go into and the prices are kind of a little silly, but that's kind of the starting point, and it's kind of let's kind of haggle, right? It seems to be those are kind of the 2 stores here. I don't know what the scene's like in Detroit.
Well, People's will give you cash is king at People's.
Oh, okay.
So I always pay in cash and I get a discount.
Yeah, right. Detroit actually in general, I think, is very much a cash town. So if you have cash, you'll
good to know. Good to know. And so they'll knock off like the tax or 10% off or something.
Sometimes even I'll show you some of the things they'll do. They've given me $20 off records at People's. Depending on how much I'm going to. Do
you ask, or you ask, or they're like,
no, I always say, hey, I've got cash, guys, because record shops are social for me. So I typically, when I'm up in the front bin at People's, I'm talking to whoever's there, and I kind of let them know, hey, this will be cash today. What do you guys got? And so usually they we started off like that, but their prices are so fair. I've never had an issue. Now the guy in Hamtramck, I've never bought anything where I felt I had to negotiate, so I haven't had an experience there. Another shop that I'm going to recommend, I have negotiated at. We'll get to that one later.
Sure. Okay. Cash is king.
Cash is king in the Michigan shops. Yeah.
Is that right?
Because then I think a lot of times they just don't, it's off books then, especially at the used vinyl.
Awesome. So what are you collecting, Paul? What kind of things are you looking for when you're going to stores?
I collect pretty broadly. So, I do buy a lot of jazz, but I'm also looking for, a lot of it's just kind of whatever's the new arrival's been and whatever speaks to me in a day. So, I'll often get kind of soul and funk. I'll get rock sometimes. If I see cool ethnographic records, I will almost always buy those, or folkways stuff.
Okay.
It just kind of depends on what strikes me on any given day.
What about Detroit jazz? Like, are there bands, are there artists that you can get there that are much harder to find in other parts of the States? Or up here in Canada and elsewhere. Whenever I go to Japan, I always look for Japanese artists, right? And oddly, never find them.
It's definitely an East Coast label town.
Mm.
So I buy a lot of Riverside, a lot of Prestige, 70s Blue Notes, you know.
Yeah.
The thing about Detroit is they've got a really active hip hop community and DJ community. So you have to be careful with a lot of the jazz records you buy because they can be, you know, used as DJ. You know, a lot of groove wares. You have to be careful on some titles. But yeah, that's typically it.
Yeah, and the list of people from Detroit is, super, that you would know is super long, right?
Yeah, the players. We could talk about all the players that came out of Detroit.
But I don't know that I see some of them, I guess, maybe a little bit more often than I have elsewhere, but I don't feel like there's a huge concentration of Donald Byrd or anything like that here, more so than elsewhere. I don't know how you feel about that, Jeffrey.
I see a lot of soul jazz in Detroit.
Yeah,
I will say that. A lot of organ jazz. Very, very popular in the town back in the day. There's a lot of
Jimmys.
A lot of Jimmy Smith, a lot of Brother Jack McDuff, that kind of stuff.
Is that coming back? I'm seeing a lot more of that too. I guess maybe it's coming back because it's cheaper and the kids are kind of getting into it, and you can get them for $10 sometimes or cheaper, right?
But I think that's it. They sold well, so there's a lot more copies, and you can't touch those. You can't touch Blue Note first presses anymore. Unless you find one, in a bin that someone doesn't know what they have, or the condition's really bad. Anything that's really good, you have to pay for anymore. When you're in, like, most Liberties are up on the wall now in Detroit, especially if it has a traditional label, not a white or black B. Those you can find in the bins, but like if it's the traditional label. But if you see like New York or West 52nd, the real ones, those are wall records now, and they're $200-300. Liberties are 100-150.
And what about the 70 to 75 kind of the blue labels and things like that? What are they going for these days?
10 to 80, depending on what it is.
Yeah, I got the Gratian Moncur the other day for 40, 45, something like that.
And I'll show a few that I've picked up.
The Blue Note one. The what's the name of
that?
The white B label.
Yeah.
And those are what I'm buying now. Is 70s presses. That's a great.
Has that got a stamp in it, Paul? Or
what do you mean, a stamp?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Let me look.
I got is it the 80th version? Sounds really good. I was pretty happy with it.
Yeah, that's what I have too. A classic.
Yeah, there's Van Gelder in there.
Perfect.
Well, that's nice. That's nice. I've got a few of his recordings on that French press that sound pretty decent. His Africa one, and what's the other one I've got? They sound pretty good. They're pretty hard to find sometimes.
I don't think he sold very well.
Oh, trombone. I don't know. It's fairly avant-garde too, right? His sound is a very particular sound.
Yeah, it's like that Curtis Fuller Prestige title goes for like $2-3 grand for a first press, because I think they sold 500 copies probably back in the day. Yeah.
Well, do you want to get into? Do you want to show a few things, Jeffrey, and talk about where you got them from?
Yeah, we can, or we can keep talking shops if you want to.
Well, up to you.
Yeah.
You're not done with shops. Well, let's keep on going through them then.
Yeah, so that's downtown. Now if I'm downtown and I hit those two, the other things I do is, we call it downriver in Michigan, and those are the south suburbs, because the way, Detroit doesn't have a south side because of the way the Detroit River separates Michigan and Canada.
Yeah.
So the south suburbs we call downriver, and so downriver in Lincoln Park is a shop called Hello Records. And Hello Records used to be in the city. I want to say they were in Corktown, but I don't know. I've talked to the owner, and apparently the building was falling apart. So they decided they got a really good deal out in Lincoln Park, and they moved. Now, this is probably the best curated shop that I hit in the city. And their wall records are pretty crazy. And they have really good bins. They don't put junk out. So everything that's in their bins is really good.
Okay.
So it's not a shop where like People's where they have to turn over all these big collections. That's not what Hello Records is. But me saying that they still have probably 8,000 to 10,000 records, but they're just, they're, when you look at them, you're not seeing like an endless run of Pat Benatar in there,
And is that run by a younger person? Because the reason why I'm asking that is my sense is that the more curated stuff, like stores that is, tend to be run by
whenever I'm in there, the people working in there are younger than me. Yeah, they're in their 30s.
Yeah, I don't know if that's kind of a cliche or a stereotype or whatever, but so that's worth taking a trip down there. Do you head down there as well, Paul? Because that's kind of clear on the other side of town for you, isn't it, Paul?
Yeah, I go down there sometimes, but it's a special trip for me if I go there.
Yeah, it's a tough drive in the city to get down there.
Oh yeah, bad traffic.
It's tough for me to get down there too. There's no highway, so you basically have to take a main surface road to get there.
Oh yeah, you can almost see the wall here. It's kind of like,
But I've seen really good deals in there. But it's a shop that I just started going into this year.
Why did they move out of the city? Any reason why?
Their building was falling apart, and so they had to move.
That's a good reason.
That's what they told me. Yeah, they said there's a big crack in the foundation, so they had to move.
And how about Dearborn Music? Is that on your list too?
Yes, the original one on Michigan Ave in Dearborn. Absolutely, they've been in business since the 60s, early 70s. They're one of probably the oldest shop in town that's still going.
Oh, so I see. You can see it right here on the side there.
Yeah, I'd go there in the 80s when I was a teenager.
Did they keep vinyl through the 80s and 90s there? Is that kind of the place?
They've always sold used records. Absolutely, yeah.
Interesting.
Big store. What's fun about them is every Sunday they put out their used records. And so they do a big drop on Sunday and then they preview it on Instagram. So sometimes depending on what the drop is, you show up and there's a line to get in.
That's cool because I'm staying just down the road and I'm arriving on Sunday.
And then you're in Dearborn.
So this is a really good tip.
They're in West Dearborn, so I mean, if you're in the Middle Eastern foods, Lebanese, there's a lot of great Lebanese places to eat there.
I'll check that out. But yeah, no, that's literally I think a couple blocks from where I'm staying. But all right, yeah, I think it's
one of the original Buddy's Pizzas is there too. You can get a slice of Detroit style pizza at Buddy's.
What's Detroit style? Is that thick?
Well, it's a deep dish like Chicago, but what we do in Detroit is we go dough, cheese, sauce, sausage. So the cheese is on the bottom.
Glurp.
And it's in square pans.
Yeah.
Square pans.
And in the way they say it is the pans look like parts pans because literally I think that's what they used. They were recycled when they started. They used recycled auto plants part trays. And that's so even to this day they cook them in these metal trays. Yeah. It's the story of Buddy's Pizza.
So is this a must-stop place then? Would you say the last one we were talking about? What were we talking about again? The one Dearborn Music. Is that a definite must-stop? Do you think, or
it's not a must-stop on my route?
No,
depends on when I'm going through. If it's beginning of the week, I will stop there, but towards the end, it's pretty picked over.
I think very popular, but maybe not essential.
Yeah. All right. Should we move on? What's next on the list, on the essential list then?
Well, those are the the big three that I call essential, unless you go to Ann Arbor. And then in Ann Arbor, it's Encore Records.
Encore Records. Okay.
They're great for all the genres. I got a good chunk of my collection came out of that shop over the years.
Mm-hmm. What about Detroit Threads?
Detroit Threads is excellent. So there are two shops in Hamtramck, so near the Record Graveyard, that are, I think, worth stopping at if you're in that neighborhood anyway. So, but maybe not for jazz, right? So Detroit Threads is world-class electronic techno store. I mean, it's amazing. And for me, it's actually really disorienting because you go in there and the layout of the store is like nothing you've ever experienced before. So it's actually sort of worthwhile taking a look. And of course, techno was started and grew in Detroit.
Yep.
They have really cool T-shirts and stuff like that in there. So I think that's worth a stop, even if you have zero interest in electronic music, just for the experience of going in there.
Yeah, it seems like a bit of a scene there. It's a bit packed in, huh?
Yeah, and on the weekends they often have a DJ working there, so it's kind of fun actually getting to see how they work their craft up close.
Yeah.
Then maybe a block down from that is a place called Lo and Behold.
Lo and Behold, yeah, I had that tag too. Yeah.
Yeah, and
what's
they
the scene there.
So that it's this really long, narrow shop. You can kind of get the sense for it there. They have, I mean, it's like any used shop where it's as good as the last LP collection that came in. But what they're really good for is 45s. So particularly if you like R&B, soul, local rock, anything like that, they have a crazy collection of those, as does Peoples, by the way.
I think I saw Peoples have them on those boxes, a whole wall, don't they?
They've got multiple walls of them, yeah.
But
they often I've often found things at Lo and Behold. Owner is really friendly and a good guy to talk to, so I think that's worth a stop.
All right.
And then there's Hitsville too, the Motown Museum.
So yeah, that's kind of on my list. Not sure if I have enough time to hit it, but what's your take on it, Jeffrey?
Oh, it's neat. There's not, it's a house. It's the original house where they started Motown. So it's Gordy's mom's house, or I don't know the whole story, but it's not an extensive museum. But if you're in,
it looked really small. Yeah,
it was very small. Yes.
Yeah. Well, the very small music museum that I think is really cool, but it might not fit well into your schedule because you have to make an appointment, is there's a techno museum that's actually down Grand from the Motown Museum. There are only like 3 guys who work there, so that's why you have to make an appointment, not because it's super exclusive, but that's really, really interesting in my opinion.
Yeah. And so I was talking to a kind of a friend of mine about he's writing a book. It's on my page, and he was talking about, he was really interested in kind of the relationship of the record store with the music scene in the city. I think he's up in Ottawa in Canada, but are there certain stores that you feel like are more plugged into the live jazz scene in the city, or do they sell tickets at some of them? Or
I know Hello has jazz musicians. I think they do a jazz night.
Yeah, they have shows on Fridays.
Like in the record store? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so People's is connected to a coffee shop called Trina Sofs. It's actually really good anyway. But they have shows there, and there's some connections with the employees between the venue and the shop. I don't know exactly what they are, but
yeah, right next door, right? Isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And any other record stores you guys want to talk about before we show some records, or?
There's a little shop in Inkster that I like to go to. It's called Sound Explosion.
Sound Explosion.
You're gonna want to go there during go there during the day. Because it's going to be a little. It's in the west suburbs, so it's kind of going to be kind of out of your way.
It's not that, is it?
It is not that. No, I don't think they have a website.
It does look like a sound explosion, though. I don't know. It's not false advertising.
But what I like about that place is again, they just, it's as good as the next collection, but I found some very interesting things in there. And the gentleman who owns the store, he's his dad was a player in Detroit.
Okay.
And so he knows a lot about jazz. He kind of grew up in the scene.
Oh yeah, well they've got some nice things there, don't they? Sound explosion. Okay, I'll definitely put that one on my list.
So yeah, that's a good one.
Let me pull up the map for that one just to see where it is in the city. Have either you gone over to Windsor to check out this? I don't think they have a lot of record stores over in Windsor, but I know there's one or two there. No,
I have not.
So that's the weird thing about going to Windsor is you can see, obviously that you're looking north to the United States. So it's always kind of messes with your head. Okay, so this is further over from the Dearborn records.
It's actually right on. Yeah, you can get to it right off 12.
Yeah.
So where Dearborn Music is, you just keep going on that road.
I gotcha.
Have you made it there yet, Paul?
I have not yet. I don't go out that direction very often, but it's on my list. I think I told you. So Donald Byrd is actually buried very close to there. So I was going to go pay my respects at some point and then go to that shop.
And then the other
you think we can find it?
Yeah, it's right. It's right on. What is it?
We're talking like close by, huh? Here, let me go back to us and I'll search. So
there's a big cemetery there. So
yeah, it's a 7-minute drive or something like that away.
And then the final shop that I hit a lot is in Plymouth, Michigan, which is is basically almost Ann Arbor, and it's actually a vintage shop that has records. So it's on the high end, but the guy only buys good records, and he has some serious heat on his walls. But he doesn't.
Hang on a second. Let's go back to Donald Byrd here. Yeah, thanks for the tip here, Paul, because I didn't know that. Hang on. There we go. West Lawn Cemetery. That's where he's at. West Lawn. So you haven't bit yet to see him, Paul. This is on your list.
It's on my list.
Yeah,
yes, I live more on the east side. I don't go west that often.
I see. Okay, so there's Sound Explosion we were just talking about, and Donald, rest his soul. There he is. What's it say on that? No, that's not right. No, I thought that was. Anyway, sorry. Talk about false advertising. Anyway. There he is, down the road from Sound Explosion. Sorry, Jeffrey. I was like, I was.
No, that's fine.
I was going down the rabbit hole that Paul laid a trap for me there. Sorry, what were we saying again? You had another story.
Oh, out in Plymouth, there's a vintage store called Finders Keepers. I had to look it up. I never can remember the name for some reason. But I found it. My niece and her husband live in Plymouth, and so. I found it one day. Yeah, it's a suburb. It's the community between Ann Arbor and Metro Detroit. So everything kind of grew together in the last 20 years. So Ann Arbor now is considered Metro Detroit. Yeah.
Oh, it is.
And that's where I'm originally from, is Ann Arbor. So
another college town. I thought that was like an hour away. Is it? So it's real Detroit, Metro Detroit sprawl.
It's an hour from my house to U of M.
Wow. Finders Keepers. All right, let's see if we can find that one here. And that's in Plymouth. That place,
yeah. And it's
what's going on? Yeah, go ahead.
Vintage clothing. And then the owner, he buys he has a highly curated selection of vinyl. And I was going to show some of the records I pulled out of there. He bought a collection out of Chicago. I call it the Kelvin collection. And it was all vintage Riversides and Blue Notes. And
wow,
they ended up spreading across the state. Onto eBay, I've seen them all over the place, but they all came out of this shop. And so
well,
he's
go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say he still has a good chunk of them up on the wall. They're real good ones.
Mm.
You know, like first press Blue Notes.
Really? All right. Well,
so if you're wanting to bring a trophy home, that's one shop to go look at the wall. Because there's some heat on that wall. Well, there was last time I was in there. Now I haven't been going down to Detroit much this year because I had a 2-week vacation to California on the books, so that's where all my money was getting saved.
I think. Well, do you want to pull out some records then and show us some stuff?
Yeah, I can. What do you want to?
Some Detroit purchases? Whatever.
Yeah, I can. Well, let me show you the last. I did one trip in January, and I did one trip in March. So let me do the March one first. And so in March, I went to. Let's get this back a little bit. I went to Encore Records in Ann Arbor, and this was more of just a drop in for about an hour. Both my wife and I are from Washtenaw County. We grew up outside Ann Arbor, and so we like to go back to Ann Arbor because it's, there's a lot of memories there. And we like to go to Zingerman's Deli, which is in Ann Arbor. And then what we do is she'll drop me at Encore, and then she goes over to a farmer's market, like kind of like Ann Arbor's version of the Eastern Market. And then we each spend an hour and a half, and then we meet up, then go eat lunch. So we did that in like February, and I was just in there, and this is just some of the records I found. And I typically don't go in with lists, so I found this on Steeplechase.
Mm-hmm.
So
what year is that? What year is that?
It's in the late 70s, I think.
Okay.
So it's an import, a Steeplechase, and then this was sitting in the bins.
Ooh.
And this is a first press.
Tasty.
Yeah. And this was $40.
It looks like it's in really great shape too.
Oh, it's in great shape. Yeah.
Holy shit. Yeah.
So this is the kind of stuff you'll find, I mean, look at these corners.
Yeah, beautiful.
So, and it's a stereo, so it's a black label. I put them in these Japanese sleeves, the good stuff, which right now is going to be probably a problem for us as I show these. But you can tell it's a first press because of where the groove is on the microphone.
Mm-hmm.
It goes through the.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yep. Let me see if Mike wants to come up and talk about the Jazz Festival. Hang on one second. Yeah. Sorry, keep on going there, Jeffrey.
Oh, he's going to 2025. I like to go to the VIP. They actually have a VIP section where you can pay, and it's got some refreshments and stuff. That's an amazing time. It's in Hart Plaza in Detroit.
Mm-hmm. Is that right downtown?
Yeah, right downtown, and then I bought this for $5 because I love Pablo. They just sound great. So this was $5. So when you see these online for like $20-$25, don't buy them.
Yeah.
Go to the stores. You can find them in the store.
They're plentiful. They're all the rage now. There's a lot. They made so many of those too in Canada. They're all over the place. Yeah, you can get them. You can get them for under $10.
And then this is going to be my February trip where I went to Hello Records and Sound Explosion. Again, I was visiting family, and I snuck away for like 2 hours, and I hit a couple stores, and I found a first press Chico Hamilton, the dealer, in great shape.
Just reissued, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a verb by request, which is a shame, but
Yeah, which sound, I don't know what your take is. I think they sound terrible, you know.
Well, some do, some don't. I mean,
Yeah, I've
a
given
lot
up
of
on them.
jazz fans are audiophiles. So this was
Yeah.
$20.
Well, that's nice. Original one. What year was that then? Is that
So it's an
60s?
ABC. So I don't know if that's the first press of it when these
Hmm.
ABC labels started.
I don't
But
think so,
it's
because I think that's a earlier 60. Like the actual recording is what? It's in the
so
mid 60s, isn't
this
it?
is probably a second press, but
66.
it's in beautiful shape. It sounds great. It's Van Gelder.
Yeah.
And there's this, which I got.
Yeah.
Blue Label
Blue
Trident,
Label.
Bobby Timmons. You can start seeing a theme with Bobby Timmons because I love Bobby Timmons. This is what I mean by the Riverside.
Mm-hmm. I picked that one up in Japan. Yeah. That's
First
a
press.
beautiful album, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, I love
Yeah,
it.
mine's a
Absolutely
little mine
love it.
mine has some red in the cover, I'm gonna say. I wonder if it's
Yeah, so this is
I think it's right down here. Anyway.
yeah. So that was at Hello. And
Mm.
then I got this. This was, I think, maybe $8 at Hello, Blue Trident. And when these two guys
Eight
play live,
eight
I
bucks for
typically
that?
buy it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a good deal.
$8 for a Blue
Yeah.
Trident.
Nuts.
And then the Sound Explosion. Now the Sound Explosion, it's all about condition with them. And so I got this whole stack here. I think I paid maybe 50, $60 for it. I don't remember. But again, it's stuff like this, right? This Green Label Prestige. This is probably like $5, $8, something like that. This was cool though. This is one of the oldest jazz records. It was one of my oldest jazz records until I got back from San Francisco. This is an original Clef.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, in really good shape, plays with minimum noise.
Yeah, it's hard to find ones like that in good shape, isn't it?
And this was $8. So that's what's fun about going into the shops. Again, I just buy these when I see them because they're really cheap. Both of these, I believe, are Acoustic Sounds is going to repress them for $40, and I have them. I think I paid less than $10 for the pair. This one. There's this. Another first press.
Riverside, yeah.
This one was crazy. I've never seen this.
No, I've never said who's on that. Wilkerson, okay, Sam Jones.
Who's who of Riverside guys?
I've never seen that one.
Matt Adderley, Barry Harris, Leroy Vinegar from the West Coast, Sam Jones, Billy Higgins, and it was recorded in San Francisco. Probably why you see Leroy Vinegar.
But it's not live. It's
no, it's not
studio
live.
recording. Yeah. Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
Hey, hi guys. How you doing?
Hey, Mike. Hey. So again, this was like $10. Then I buy these because I love his tone. Love Gene Ammons. I love soul. I love prestige soul jazz. I just think it's the best. Again, cheap. You see these all over Detroit, and when they're clean, I buy them. This one more. Here's this another Gene Ammons.
Yeah.
This is an excellent session. Blue Label. This is all from the Inkster shop, and then this is the one I pulled off the wall, and the guy gave me this for $25.
Oh, nice.
I was like, okay, I'll take that. I mean, it's Basie guys, they're coming together in a small group.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
What year is that one, Jeffrey?
Oh, I didn't look up the year, but it's got the New Jersey. It's the Bergenfeld. So I would say this is probably 60s, like early 60s. It's a cool
so
record.
those were all from the same shop, or were those from were they from all the same shop, or where did you get those?
Yeah, all these came out of the Inkster shop, the Sound Explosion.
Sound Explosion.
And like I said, I don't think I paid more than $50 for all those records.
Yeah.
So the guy is so wonderful. He's just a great guy. He's very personable, and you can go in there. And like I said, his dad went to Cass Tech and played with these guys, and so he likes to name drop some of the players. He talks about Charles McPherson a lot. And so anyhow, he says he said he knew Donald Byrd and he knew all these guys, and I just go in there and just lap it up, man. I just love talking with him.
Nice.
Him and his little these guys, two little guys run the shop. And so then I went to that Blue Note, was it 85th concert, and it was down in Detroit. So I went down there, and it was in January, and so of course I'm going to hit Peoples. But I ended up talking my wife into doing two shops. So I went to Record Graveyard and Peoples. And so this is just what I walked in.
Pushing your luck.
Yeah, well, you should have seen me.
Totally pushing your luck.
Go look at the Jazz Bum stream when I showed off what I bought in California and talk about me pushing my luck. But this was literally like 15 minutes just looking in their new arrival bin. So I got this as an OJC. I thought I'd show some OJCs. So this I think was like maybe 15. This was 10. Perfect shape. Another one for 10. Perfect shape.
Yeah, reissued that one. Yeah.
Another one. $10. And then this, I had to buy this because, I mean,
Plays for Beautiful People. What year is that one? I haven't seen that one either.
This is a comp, so it's mid 60s with this Trident. So what this is, it's what they thought were his best cuts, probably the 7 inches that they were releasing for the jukeboxes. So you see all the iterations of Jack McDuff's bands. So you see him with George Benson's got some cuts on it, and the different guitar players who played with him, like Bill Jennings played with him.
Yeah. Those are fun albums sometimes, right? Those compilations. Sometimes people trash compilations, but yeah, you look on the back and you can hear the differences and the vibes, right, between the different bands and the different tracks. I think it's kind of cool that way.
All right, so here's Peoples. I was in there for probably 2 hours.
Is this recent, Jeffrey?
This is January. So this is what I got in 2 hours in Peoples, just randomly dropping in. And so this was the cherry. This is a near mint 2i. I mean, just perfect record. This was sitting up front in the jazz bin in the good record that we were talking about.
Yeah.
Just beautiful. And then I bought this because it was like $5. This is a great hard bop session. Do not sleep on.
That's really
Hank
good.
Jones in the 70s. Excellent record. This was $1, but it plays.
I see it around $1. Yeah.
This was like $2. Again, soul jazz is all over Detroit. Cheap. This I pulled out of the normal bins. It's a first press stereo. It's $5.
Wow.
I think I just paid $25 for that the other day.
Yeah.
Canadian, but still, which is still pretty cheap, but
so this is some more records I got. Oh, hold on, before I get to those, let's see here's some more I just pulled out of the random, like this. It's a first press Argo. $5. This was a cool record. I had no idea what this was until I played it. It's a hard bop group on that gray Argo. I don't know what I paid for it. It wasn't much.
Show the cover again. Sorry.
You know this one, Mike?
No. Well,
it's a hard bop session. Howard McGee and the Blazers.
What year is that?
Oh, I don't really know. I didn't look it up that close. It's a promo. Have you listened
to it?
Yeah, I've listened to it twice.
Yeah. Never seen it. Yeah.
I wouldn't call it essential, but it's cool to have it. And this was in the new arrival bin for $20. It's like VG plus Eddie Lockjaw Davis.
Yep.
that's good. I mean, usually when you find those Lockjaw albums, they're not that great in great condition. Because I have the cookbook sessions that I have. The OGs are not, in good condition.
Why do you think that is, Mike?
Oh, they got hey, they got
Party
played.
records.
Yeah, they got played a lot.
By people who drank a lot of scotch or something.
Hey,
This is a record to dance to.
There's something to the music, right? It's good.
yeah,
Kick
You dance
back and
to this record.
yeah.
I mean, you got
Wow.
Shirley on it, and
Yeah.
and Lockjaw. I mean, just
Dance and
Awesome.
make your needles skip, right? Yeah. That's such a great cover, right?
Mm.
Yeah. Fun.
again, I love this stuff. This was up front. I think I paid 30 for it,
Wow.
and then this is a repress.
Mm.
One of my
This was, I think,
favorites.
$30 too. This sounds so good. Van Gelder. And then I bought the Kevin Gray cut of this, and I actually play this more than Kevin's, even though it's got noise on it. It's just punchy.
What's the difference?
It's more punchy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are my 2 trips down to Detroit this year, and like I said, I usually go down a lot more. But like I said, I went out to California, so I had to save my money. And if you want to see that epic haul, I went up on the Jazz Bum stream
Just on Friday? Yeah.
first Friday of June. It was a couple weeks ago.
Okay, I'll have a look for it. Yeah. Mike, you want to talk about the jazz festival? What is it? September? Is that when it is?
I think it's the end of August, isn't it?
It's Labor Day weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have a friend that he goes there every year. And I don't know, a couple of months ago he had sent me a thing. I mean, he lives in New York. And it was like outside of the city. And actually I met him because he had seen me on like the Jazz Bums stream, and then I met him they had a record fair here. I met him there, and then he invited me out to his house. He has all like great equipment, has a huge collection, and he said, "Oh, every year I don't know how long he said it was. I've been going to the Detroit Jazz Festival. It's freaking great. You should go. And then he sent me another email. I booked my hotel. You should really think about going, but it's too close to a whole bunch of stuff I have going on because my daughter starts college and we have to take her to college. So it's like, it's really close. So I
it's
can't
not triangulating for you.
Yeah. So, but I'm really going to try to do it in 2025. Because just the way he described it, it sounded really cool. It sounded something I would like better than Newport, which he goes.
So why? So what's the vibe there then? What's so cool?
I don't know. I don't know. The way he described it, because he knows my taste, and and I don't know. He talked about how they block off like streets and stuff like that, and that's the kind of thing I want to, I like to do. I mean, and I'm more of a city person. I don't, I want to be in the city, walk around, see different things.
Have you ever been up to the Montreal one, Mike? The Montreal Jazz Festival? Because that's exactly what it's like during that.
I haven't, and years ago I had a really good opportunity to go, and I didn't, because my wife used to work in corporate for a major hotel chain. And we had gone up there once, and the guy said, "You should come up here for the Jazz Fest. You come up here, you tell me you want to come up here, I got you, and I just never did. I just never did.
Yeah,
and
that's when
she no longer works for them. So
yeah, no, they're still going strong. Good lineup.
Yeah, they have good shows. Because there's a public radio station. There used to be a guy that would go up there every year. This guy, his name was Michael Bourne. It was and they would do like some broadcast segments from Montreal, and they were really interesting. So,
is that like an NPR station? You mean in New York?
It's called WBGO. It's out of Newark, New Jersey.
Okay, yeah, I think that rings about. Like I went to University of Montreal, right? So way back, but they used to have some stages where, they would have some radio guys. They would have they're reserved for recordings, right? So that actually kind of rings a bell.
Yeah.
but I don't know if they still do that. But it's great because there's stages all over the city. The roads are shut down, and it's much more liberal there in Montreal, right? You can drink on the street, you can get a beer, and walk from one stage to another. You're not kind of penned in. Do you know what I mean?
Like New Orleans, you can walk down the street with a go cup, as they call it.
Yeah, supposedly here, I guess they're adding a venue this year. So they have, the main site is downtown on the riverfront. They have an amphitheater there and whatnot. But Wayne State just opened renovated their jazz theater. So Gretchen Velarde, who was the heir to the Carhart fortune, and is a big benefactor to both Wayne State and the Jazz Festival, paid for this theater to be renovated. And so some of the smaller acts are going to be up at Wayne State, but there's a streetcar that runs between them. So easy peasy.
Yeah, see, that's great. Awesome. That's what I like,
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of bag chairs. You see, people just set up and because they do a lot of music festivals. They do the techno festival down there too every summer.
Yeah, same spot by the river. Yeah. All right, Paul. Do you got some stuff you want to show?
Yeah, sure.
Detroit purchases.
Hey, well, I'll start with a Detroit artist. So it's Joe Henderson, Black Narcissus.
Bring on the heat.
Pretty good record. That's a Lo and Behold find. See, what do we have here? Alice Coltrane.
Nice. Oh, nice.
That was from Peoples. Another Peoples.
Sweet. That's on my list. Yeah.
This was a thrift shop find.
So he's another Detroit guy.
Yeah. Actually, and
he was sorry to jump in. Yeah, he was a prof at University of Massachusetts when I was there. With Archie Shepp. They were both there at the same time in the jazz department.
Were you there when Max Roach was there?
I don't think so. When did he? No, I don't remember him being around. But Shepp used to show up at protests and stuff, and Lateef not so much. I didn't see him around campus that much, but it was pretty hilarious. They were professors, right? So I just saw them around. I was a graduate student, but.
Well, actually, so if you look at the the Wikipedia page for Wayne State alums, the list of the jazz musicians who went there is just nuts. Pepper Adams, Donald Byrd, Yusuf Lateef, Joe Henderson. The list goes on and on.
So they're making some investments to kind of bring people on campus just to hear music. Then, yeah.
So, Chris McGregor and the Brotherhood of Breath. So he was South African. So this is a group. It's South Africans who are in exile in London. So sort of Mingus-y big band with some South African flair. Pretty cool.
Here's that list you were talking about. If anyone wants to check it out. Wow, Curtis Fuller. Yeah, Kenny Burrell. Wow, that's a pretty serious. Pepper Adams. Joe Henderson, and it goes on and it goes on.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's serious.
And I would wager a good number of those guys grew up in the community and went to Cass Tech.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah,
it's a very famous high school in Detroit.
Yep, just down the street.
I thought you were going to say your wager that they didn't graduate or something.
No, you got to be serious to go to Cass Tech.
Sorry, go ahead, Paul. Yeah,
$5 on this one, Peoples.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a good deal.
Yeah. Is that an original label?
It's like a second one. It's where the first one it didn't have this arranged and conducted by line.
I got you.
On this one, it's actually stickered on.
That's nice. Those old verbs sound good.
Yeah. Got Roscoe Mitchell Sound. It's the French pressing.
Oh wow!
Which I got for $5 because it looks like a generic kind of discount label, but it's the actual French first.
What shop was that, Paul?
That was Record Graveyard.
Here you go. Record
And the day I found those, I actually also found a sealed complete Run of the Wildflowers series.
Yes, you posted that in the Discord, and I was like, "Oh man!" Because it was when I told you to go there, and I was like, "Man, what did I find to recommend that shop?"
See what else we have
Cleaned
there.
out a whole run of them.
Oliver Lake, early Oliver Lake.
Yeah.
Last Exit.
Oh wow.
And Sunny Chirac.
Yeah.
Cool.
Laswell.
Live in Tokyo. How does that sound? How's the recording on that one? Yeah.
It sounds good. I mean, I guess it's that 80s Bill Laswell sort of sound, so your mileage may vary, but I like it.
Yeah, classic. That thing you should be able to find that for next to nothing, and now it's going for so much money. That's hot with the kids, the bird. Yeah.
It's a Lyman Woodard organization. It's the second one. So I've not seen an original Saturday Night Special in person, but that's the second one. I got that one at Street Corner Records in Oak Park, which is also next to a really cool bookstore that's owned by one of the members of Destroy All Monsters, which was a Stooges side project. So that's a cool place to go.
Stooges are from my hometown, Ann Arbor.
Con Jamal.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I actually got this at a garage sale.
Diani.
Yeah, that garage sale was nuts when you posted those.
Yeah.
You hit in there.
What else is interesting? Well, here's another Detroit one.
Oh yeah, I love
Great record.
Xanadu's. They're really good.
Yeah, Xanadu's are. I see Xanadu's all over the place here.
Yeah.
Those McPherson Xanadu's are awesome records, especially like Live in Tokyo. Man, he just tears it up.
Yeah. Those are some of the choice jazz ones. Then you see things like this around too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Another Ann Arbor band.
There are probably a lot of scratched up ones of that one, like Mike was saying before.
Oh, I bet.
A lot of
but
heavily loved pre-punk, right?
But it seems like every store has MC5s, and like I never really saw those elsewhere. So,
I mean, they were it in the 70s.
Didn't the lead singer just die or something last year? Guitarist, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, the guitarist and the drummer died last year, so those are the last two of the original lineup.
And so we've told you choice shops. The thing about the Metro Detroit is there's shops everywhere.
Yep.
And I mean, there's literally dozens of record stores.
Yeah,
that are new, or they're older ones.
Some are new. Some have been there for a while.
There's a place I go to. You have to be committed to digging for a while there, but it's called Melodies and Memories. It's in East Point, which is one of the old suburbs just east of the city limits. Apparently, that's where Dilla and Questlove would go digging whenever they were in town. It's claustrophobic. It's a huge store, not as big as Dearborn, but it's pretty big. But it is like, I don't think you could squeeze another record in there. It's safety.
Yeah, that's a.
Where is that?
If I go there, that's the only place I tend to go because I get worn out in there, and sometimes you strike out.
Yeah,
you get worn out. Ooh, look at those cassettes. Oh wow, yeah, that's the kind of place where you got to be really careful where you're stepping, right?
It's the kind of place
you got to duck too.
Well, if there's a fire, you might be in trouble.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it's and the other thing is I like I said, I live in Lansing, so I live East Lansing's right next door, and we have a shop that's been there since the 70s called Flat Black and Circular, and I have pulled some. That's where I go every week, and some of the jazz records I bought in there the last year is nuts.
Yeah, Valley's posted some pretty crazy stuff from there too.
Yeah, that's where he used to always get his deals. He likes to put on the Discord. Yeah, the owner's an old time. I mean, he's owned the shop forever, and he's got all the connections. And he'll come in and just sprinkle jazz records in the bins. And so you got, I mean, it's
like
one of those
pixie
shops,
dust, right?
yeah, where they don't do new arrivals. So you typically dig through, you see the same records every time you go, but you got to dig through every one of them because he literally will come in and just put like maybe 4 records in the bins. But it's like nutty
It's a
stuff.
nice image, isn't it? Stuff it
Like,
in here.
Let's see if I can. Like stuff like
what's the record fair seem like? There's one coming up, isn't there? Like
it's really good in
month?
Michigan.
It's on the west side. What's it called? Do you remember? Is it like the? No, I don't think it was Ann Arbor. I think
the Ann Arbor Monster Record Fair is the one I go to.
Yeah.
And then, so there's this one guy. He's been doing these record shows since the 80s, and he does a show in 4 or 5 cities. So he does 4 shows in each city every year. So he does 4 in Ann Arbor, 4 in Lansing, 4 in Kalamazoo, 4 in Clawson, which is a suburb of Detroit. And they're really good because he's had the same dealers have been with him forever.
Yeah,
so these are the
and they travel with him. You mean all the same?
They're not shop guys, right? They're the non-shop pickers.
Yeah,
and I've hit in those a lot too. Good chunk of my collections come out of his shows because most of my records aren't jazz. I've only been in the jazz hunt for probably the last 4 or 5 years. Seriously.
Mm-hmm. And are the prices better at the fair? It sounds like.
Yeah, because it's all cash.
Yeah.
So you literally you just put a stack and you offer them money. That's where you wheel and deal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they don't have the overhead.
You going to WFMU this year, Mike?
Yeah. Definitely. I've actually sort of blocked it off on my calendar, so I won't schedule anything at work for that. And then Mazzy's coming in because we're gonna go to this one thing we have planned is that we're gonna go to this one restaurant. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it because it's in Manhattan.
A barbecue one. Every time you guys talk about like these meetups, it's always some debate about some barbecue place that you go to or something.
Oh yeah, that's like Rob and those guys. New York has good barbecue, but this is one Italian restaurant that actually we both like, and we didn't. He had mentioned it, and I go, oh, yeah, I go there. I go there a lot. So we're gonna go there, and it's actually in Manhattan this time. So it's sort of like a central location. It's where it used to be years ago. So it should be easier for everyone to meet up.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are coming in. A lot of people are coming in.
Yeah. It's just the city's gotten so expensive. I think I want to go, but
it's crazy expensive.
To go for dinner, right? To go for dinner, it's so expensive in New York City.
Well, you can still do dinner somewhat inexpensively, but I mean, like if you're coming in out of town and you're staying, lodging is the thing that's expensive.
Yeah.
Unless you're like staying with someone or something like that, it's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. But I know some other guys that they were coming in and basically they had made arrangements to like through I guess Airbnb, 2 different places that that canceled on them, and now they're like staying in New Jersey and coming into the city because that's just how ridiculous stuff is.
Yeah. No, when I come down, I don't know. So are you guys going to be around next? So when I come down to Detroit, it was weird because originally I was gonna come down for a conference in Windsor, stay there, do my thing for Wednesday, Thursday, and then pop over on Friday. But then I realized I got a jazz show back on Saturday night here in Toronto, so I couldn't stay my 48 hours so I don't have to pay my taxes. Customs, right? So it's a bit weird. So I'm going to go down actually next Sunday. I'm going to go down on the Sunday, stay through it, through to Tuesday, and then Tuesday night head over to Windsor to do my conference, right? So it's a bit of a weird. I looked, a lot of places though are open on Sunday, right? And not as many on Monday, but
yeah, not all of them will be open. Like Record Graveyard, I think, is closed on Sundays, but open again on Monday.
Yeah,
but yeah,
People's is open. They close at 4, I think. Dearborn Records will do their drop on Sunday morning.
On Sunday morning.
Yeah, you should follow them on Instagram. You'll see it.
I'll leave at 5 a.m. from Toronto. It's like
I've seen your Toronto walk video. I'm going to be going there in a month.
So again, Paul, you're coming up here.
I'm coming to Toronto in about a month, so I've been studying your video on the record shop walk.
Yeah. That's the walk one, right? There's a drive one, but that one's nice because it's in Chinatown, and kind of like what Mike was saying, like you're downtown, and there's lots of great little places where you can eat along the way. And I also like to go with my pals and we do that walk, and then at the end we sit down and have a beer, and then we kind of, okay, what do you got? So and that's the fun social part of it, because a lot of the stores here are, sometimes it's busy, right? You don't have time to talk to the owners or get into it there, but if you go with a pal, you can sit down over a drink and kind of go through and look and see what kind of trouble you found, right? So that's kind of why I focused on that. But yeah, I like making the I've got a couple other ideas for, because I travel a lot, and I like to walk, right? So I like to kind of figure out how many record stores can you do in an afternoon, so to speak, right? And then stop and enjoy yourself and check it out. Paris is great for that. London, not much.
If you have any tips about Paris, you gotta send them to me, because right after Thanksgiving I'm going to Paris.
You'd be surprised though, or maybe not, Mike. I don't know. Yeah, you're in New York, right? Are you in New York?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So it's pricey there, right? The record stores in Paris. It's expensive too, but there's some great, like, just jazz only stores. I'll probably, when do you say you're going again, in October?
I'm going right after Thanksgiving, like that Friday.
Okay.
Flying out.
That's nice time of year, right? It'll be cool and not too many tourists and stuff like that. So
the good thing about my sister-in-law and her husband, they have an apartment, and they're Francophiles. They have an apartment in Paris.
Do you know where in the city it is?
It's not far from what is it? Roland Garros, the tennis stadium. Where they play the French Open. I don't know what arrondissement and all that.
It's kind of southwest to the center, though, if it's near that.
Yeah. Southwest. So we can stay there. I mean, they don't. They don't live there, but they have the life. They have no kids or anything like that. So they go there like at least twice a year.
You know what? I'm gonna hit you up. I might actually be there in October. I'll send you a note after.
All right, that would be cool.
But yeah, I've been meaning to, because I did this video on the store. It's in the live section. If you want to check it out. I saw FNAC one.
It was the one that had the gosh, I can't remember the store now, but I think I saw it. I did watch it. Yeah.
Not the one that's the top 5 one that has a couple from Paris in it, but there's another one in the live section, and it's called FNAC, and you can get a lot of, it's not an independent place, but you can get a lot of European jazz stuff there. FNAC. And the prices are really good. Stuff that it's quite pricey in North America. You can find they have a lot of sales there. But so I felt a little guilty posting that one, because they're not an independent store, right? but there's some really great walks just on the right bank. Yeah, I can spend a nice afternoon. So I'll record it over the next month or so before I go
All
on
right,
holiday.
that'll be great.
And I'll tag you when I upload it. But yeah,
Yes.
such a great city.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, it's been so long since I've been there. So
yeah. I usually when I go there, I find I want to get stuff that's all the live stuff from
Mhm.
From the 50s and 60s that they did in and around Paris, right? And there's a lot of stuff that we don't see around here.
That's the kind of stuff I like to pick up. Yeah.
It's fun. I haven't been to Sam's Record. You guys probably collect some of his stuff, right?
Yeah. I've got a number.
Those are nice releases. But he has his own space, so I haven't been up to. It's only open on a Friday and a Saturday, and I'm usually doing family stuff. So I haven't seen them, but yeah, a lot of African stuff as well. A lot of Nigerian, a lot of South African.
Yeah,
it's different from London, but yeah, you gotta book off some time.
Yeah, no, the good thing is, I'll have time. So that's a good.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I try to make the time, but my family's down the south of France, so I always get my father-in-law kind of invites me to his pals. He's like he has been a mayor of a small town, and so he knows everyone. And there's all these great markets in the region, kind of what you're talking about, Jeffrey. You get these guys that go through Michigan. Same thing in South France, and he knows all of them. And so he's just like, hey, Greg, let's go over to this guy's house, and we go in there, and it's his living room. They're all old kind of electronics guys, who that's used to work for the radio company or a telecommunications company, whatever, and they've got all these French collections that are incredible, and they're just like, just get them out of here, Okay. So so they're all in France, right? At my father-in-law's house. I've got like a French collection. the French Connection LP collection, Wow. So but yeah, no, I'll let you know, Mike. But that's a good reminder. Cool. I've been meaning to do that because I felt guilty about not doing an independent store walk. But so Paul, when you're coming up to Toronto, you said in a month?
Mid-July.
Mid-July. Okay, I'll still be around. Let's chat, huh?
Yeah, I'll drop you a note.
How long are you going to be here for?
4 days, maybe.
Oh, that's good.
Something like that, yeah.
Enough time to kind of cut out. And there's a few, like everywhere, right? There's a few jazz kisses that are opening up in Toronto as well.
Yep.
Oh, there. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, there are. There's at least two that are worth going to for sure. We're gonna go on to one on Friday, so.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna go to the one in Brooklyn sometime next week. But then I'm trying to figure out what day, because there's a jazz festival this coming week. It's the Vision Jazz Fest, William Parker's sort of the jazz fest, and actually he's getting like the Lifetime Achievement Award this year. So I'm trying to figure out which one of those shows I should go to.
Choices.
Yeah, there's a lot of choices.
I feel so bad for you.
Yeah, there's two jazz festivals in Lansing, Michigan. There's like I can't remember the guy's name, but he's from Lansing. He's a smooth jazz player. He does a smooth jazz festival in Lansing, Michigan every year. And then there's a little local festival in Lansing, and we call it Old Town, the old part of Lansing, and that's mostly local musicians. A lot of fun. It's in the street.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So is Mike, is Billy opening up a Kisa as well in Brooklyn?
Hey, that's what it seems like, yeah.
Because sometimes he talks about it, and he's like, I'm opening up a club, but he doesn't. I haven't heard him call it a Kisa.
I haven't heard him. I don't think I've heard him call it that, but that's what usually when we were talking about the one that opened in Brooklyn, he sort of insinuated that's what he's going to be doing. So it'll be interesting.
Man,
The one in Brooklyn is really nice. I went with Roberto. We went. They had like an opening. I guess it wasn't really an opening night thing. It was sort of like an opening, thing where like the guy reached out to me on Instagram, and I went there and it was great. It's a really nice nice spot. It's his collection. And what I really like about it, the aesthetic of the club, he has this board. You know how when you go on the train stations?
I've seen pictures of it. Yeah, it's like
so
next
cool.
playing. Yeah.
That
does it
so
actually
cool.
go click 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 click?
Yeah, it is.
It does.
Over. Yeah,
that's
and then
awesome.
And the artwork in the place, his wife did most, I think, all of it. And I was talking to her for a while, and it's like she has some really good paintings. Like she did, the favorite of the ones that I saw was a painting she did of Shirley Scott. So it's a really nice club. And I hadn't been in that area of Brooklyn in I don't know how many years. And it's like when you go to these places and you see how they've changed. The whole area has changed. I was like, okay. I'm like, but it's good. I'm gonna head out there this week, just to hang out.
Is there a similar kind of jazz Kisa jazz bar thing happening in Detroit, you guys, or
Blue Llama?
The Blue.
Actually, that's
I like how that. I like your like boom, Blue Llama.
The Blue Llama. That's one. I think it's in Ann Arbor though. There is a couple clubs in Detroit.
Yeah, we've got a couple places for live clubs.
But I'm thinking more like a listening kind of
right.
bar.
Yeah, I mean there probably are. I just don't know about them. We have tons of live stuff though.
Yeah, it's funny. Like my daughter's in university, and she's been telling me she's out in Atlantic Canada, so not in one of the big cities in Canada, but she said the most popular night at her university is gin and jazz. Gin and jazz night, where they're mixing drinks, and we're talking about 20-year-olds, and that is like the weekly night, right? The hot night. So I don't know, Mike, if it's like a younger crew at the Kisa in Brooklyn. It'd be kind of interesting to see the crowd.
It was sort of mixed. It was sort of mixed, which is good, Yeah, and most of the, I noticed, like even the clubs, like when I started listening, it's mixed. I mean, it's mixed all around. In terms of age, in terms of like race, cool. It's and more women than when I first started listening. It's just more varied audience, which is great.
Different from record stores.
Yeah.
Record stores are still like 95% dudes, right?
Yeah. When I started going to jazz clubs, it was from like the jazz clubs usually they start like say Tuesday. I would usually go Wednesday, Thursday. And like Fridays and Saturdays, you get the tourists. I would go Wednesday, Thursday, or Sunday. And then Friday and Saturday, you'd get some like tourists and stuff like that. And it wasn't a mixture of people in there. It just wasn't. I remember there used to be this club called Sweet Basil in New York. And I was there. It's where I saw Art Farmer. And I was in college at the time. And I went on a Wednesday. There was no one my age in there, and then because I remember Art Farmer came out and he looked around and he saw me at the bar, and he looked at me and he like nodded, sort of a nod, like, okay,
Like
pretty cool.
were the old dudes in here? You mean? Was that what the nod was?
The rest of these old people are
Like check out the crowd here.
Yeah. But now it's age wise and everything. It's just a really good mix.
Yeah. Although I should say that, when I go into the, I threw out that whole thing about dudes being in the record store. But when you're right, for me, when I go to the record stores here in town in Toronto on the Friday night or a Saturday or like a long weekend, there's a lot more women and a lot more women in the jazz section. And they're proper digging, that they're not like tourists who are kind of, the people are kind of whatever, waiting for their friends to show up or something, right? So it's interesting. It's interesting to see that, and my pal up in Ottawa, he has a kind of a teenager as well, and he was talking about how the difference in how the kids today kind of put things on their walls as opposed to what most of us do, and just kind of wrap them, fetishize them, and
Yeah, there's definitely a shift though. I find that I'm the old guy in my local shop now. A lot of times. Now the shop's on the campus of Michigan State, but when I first 10 years ago, I'd be bunch of guys in there digging around, but now it's a really young crowd buying a lot of records.
Yeah, I think that's true at shops, but the shows I think are different. I think I'm at the young end of people at the shows.
I went to that like I said, I went to that Blue Note show in January, and that was pretty. There was a kind of a pretty decent mix of age in there. To be honest, there was probably like audience was about 500 people for it, and
it was a big theater. Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to think. And things have changed so much. I remember, gosh, I don't know when it stopped, but it used to be where during the week, most nights during the week, even like on a Friday, like when I was in college, especially on Friday, I could go to just show up at the Vanguard and get in. Can't do that anymore. You don't have reservations.
Yeah, you need to go ahead. Yeah,
it's just sold out. But I mean, I remember once when I was in college, it was a bunch of people I worked with. They were always asking about jazz and stuff like that. So one night we were hanging out, and I just said, "Let's just walk over to the Vanguard." David Murray was playing. Boom! We just walked in. And
there's a legend right there.
Yeah. And this was, I mean, David Murray was like was the guy at that time, but you just walked into the Vanguard, and I remember just recently he played at the Vanguard. That whole week was basically sold out. Maybe you could get into like on Sunday, like the 10:30, just a 10:30, 10 o'clock show or something like that. But they sell out now.
That's New York. Yeah, I've been at quite a few shows in Paris, and it's easier to go in. It depends how many, if it's one or two people, you can get in. They'll put you up at the bar. You know what I mean? And they're much more flexible. But yeah, no, I hear you. New York's there's just too many tourists. But
I try to live precariously through Small's YouTube feed. Like,
kind of
a part of the New York scene through that.
It's funny, but even sometimes at Smalls, you can't get in, because usually like Smalls would be the one club you just go to. You go, you find out there's a show playing, and you go. But I remember I had a friend, my best friend from Miami was up for a weekend, and we said, let's go to Smalls, and it was just a thing. And this guy, tenor player, who I really like, doesn't have that many recordings. His name is Stacy Dillard. He was playing. We couldn't get in. And this was a Sunday. It was actually a Sunday. We could not get in because, some people had reservations, which I was shocked that people were doing at Smalls, but the line was freaking around the corner. I was like, this is, different.
Have you guys seen the stream from this club in Amsterdam? Really well known.
I've seen a
No?
couple of shows. There.
Oh, yeah. Were they live, Mike? Or I think there's a lot of recorded stuff and
I
good,
saw
good
it
shows.
on YouTube
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe they might charge a fee or something to stream some of these. But yeah, you're right. I think on YouTube is where I normally see it. I don't usually go through here, but they have a really good lineup. And actually, the sound is better on this, way better on the BIM House than way better than Smalls, of course, right?
Yeah, I know just off the top of my head, I have one CD that was actually recorded there. I think it's it's a Mal Waldron and Steve Lacy CD.
At the BIM House? The BIM House?
Yeah.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful sound in there. Really nice. With you can see, right? You can see on their videos the band's playing that. While sometimes they pull the curtains, often they don't. It's open. You can see like the city behind and the streetcar going by. It's a kind of a cool stream to watch, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's another one that I try to check out.
I stayed at a hotel right by there once, but never saw a show there.
It's usually good 3-4 shows a week. Amsterdam's a great jazz city, but getting a little harder to get in. I think when I was over there, I taught at a university down there for a while, and like Rotterdam is better. So if you're ever in Amsterdam and can't get tickets, look at what's playing in Rotterdam, because half of the bands that play in Amsterdam play in Rotterdam, and it's rarely sold out in Rotterdam, and they have great venues as well. So I saw tons of shows, and it's 50 minutes on a straight shooter train and easily walkable town. So no one goes to Rotterdam's great jazz town too. Amazing. And amazing record stores. That's anyway, that's another video I want to do.
Isn't the world's biggest record fair in the Netherlands?
Yeah. In Den Bosch. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Den Bosch.
Yeah.
It used to be in Utrecht, which is much closer to Amsterdam. But yeah, I was there when it was on. So this was last fall. I was doing some research in Amsterdam, and I looked, and it was they'd moved to the new convention center, but it's like an hour and a half away from Amsterdam.
Yeah,
but that didn't freak me out so much. But then you look at the website. Maybe I'll pull it up in a second, and it's just, and it kind of it just kind of blows your mind, right?
I've seen YouTube videos on it. It looks insane.
It looks exhausting.
Intimidating, right? And then now it's not in Utrecht. You're like 25 minutes from downtown Amsterdam, but in Den Bosch, and it's it's a commitment, and I wasn't ready to go to do that, but absolutely. Listen, guys, I think I'm gonna maybe wrap it up soon because I got to do a couple things, and I was just saying, my partner, it like feels like a long weekend this weekend. Should be a long weekend. It's always a bad sign when you feel like, oh man, I need a Monday off.
I know. Luckily,
I got jury duty this week. So.
Oh, jury duty! Oh gosh.
What?
I'm hoping that I won't get called. I don't have to report tomorrow because the 19th's a federal holiday, so I'm hoping the court will be closed. But I could see a judge wanting the seat on Thursday.
Do you know what the case is, or
no? It's basically you got to call in and they pull in prospective jurors.
So you don't even have to go in person, you mean?
Not unless you're called. If they want to seat a trial, they'll bring prospective jurors in, and then the lawyers will pick the juror pool.
Yeah. So luckily you're not a grand jury. Every time I get called at the jury duty, I get picked on a grand jury, and there's no way you have to be there. It's not like where they can the lawyers can pick and go, nope, I don't want that person.
Nope, you're on.
Yeah. And it was 2 weeks, and it's like case after case after case after case. It is not fun.
In Arizona, that's a 6-month commitment. I have a friend who got it. Think about that.
That's
Who got
ridiculous.
it? Who got it? Sounds like they got COVID, right? Long COVID.
1 week for 6 months.
I guess
Because they have a different system. Because they like literally put felonies through. They like run felonies through it before they even go to a real trial.
No wonder they hate the government in Arizona.
Right. Yeah, and that's what when I was on the grand jury, that's all we were hearing was we were basically determining if they had a case to bring.
Yeah.
But first of all, I mean, maybe Arizona, because they got so many retirees there, they think they can get away with that. But there's just no way, if you got a job, who
yeah, it was some special thing. And he moved from Michigan to Arizona, so of course his name went right on top of the on top of the polls. As soon as you move, you're right on top.
Yeah.
Yeah, welcome to the state, right?
Yeah.
Nice. Now you're going to get
I just went county court, so I don't know. It's 50-50 chance I'll get called.
Yeah.
Because we have a county court, and we have a state court, and then we have a federal court all in town. So
civic duty. Wow.
I should. Hopefully, I'll be good. Because the good thing about if you get called for like grand jury, you're good for like 6 years or something like that. For a longer period of time than regular jury duty. So
this is my 3rd time, and I've been in Lansing for 22 years. So it seems like it's about every 6-7 years you get called.
Yeah.
That's a lot. I've only been called twice in about the same amount of time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But, I've been summoned 4 times, but only served once.
Oh.
And you're due. What are you coming on a year in Michigan? I'm sure you're going to be called here soon. I tell you, it's a Michigan thing. Yeah, you move and you're right on top of the list.
Time to get out of town. Paul's in Toronto. He's in Toronto. Yeah.
That's funny.
All right. Listen, guys. Thanks so much for joining and for sharing all the great information and fabulous finds. So I'm pretty jazzed. I'll be in touch, and hope maybe we can meet up. Hopefully we can meet up. That would be great. But if not, I'll do a short video and I'll share what I find. What kind of trouble I get into, as I say. And I'll be in touch, Mike, about Paris and the whole thing, and we'll talk soon.
Okay. I'm Paul. I've already.
Yeah, you've shown that one. I haven't bought that one yet. But and is it good?
Yeah, I mean, I'm only on even the introduction is good, and that's if the introduction is good,
good stuff.
The book should be really good.
Good summer reading. All right, I'll order it for my holiday then. Thanks, Mike.
All right.
Okay, Jeffrey, Paul.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Take care, guys.
Take care. All right, bye.